cinema and the kind of the great roles of Pam Grier and this one and that one. And he started talking about
Top 5 man Uma Thurman hated the most. Uma Thurman, born April 29th, 1970, in Boston, Massachusetts, is an acclaimed American actress and model. She began her career as a fashion model before transitioning to film, gaining early recognition with roles in Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, and Henry and June, 1990. Thurman achieved international fame as Mia Wallace in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, 1994, earning an Academy Award nomination. She became an icon of action cinema with her unforgettable role as the bride in the Kill Bill films, 2003-2004. Known for her striking beauty, versatility, and strong on-screen presence, Thurman has worked across genres from drama to comedy, continuing to captivate audiences worldwide. 5 men Uma Thurman hated the most, rooted in real betrayals, not sensational gossip, starting with Quentin Tarantino. Their acclaimed collaboration overshadowed by trauma. Uma Thurman-Quentin Tarantino rift. Quentin Tarantino, one of Hollywood's most celebrated and influential directors, built his reputation on fearless storytelling, razor-sharp dialogue, and an unapologetically bold visual style. From the non-linear brilliance of Pulp Fiction to the operatic violence of Kill Bill, his films redefined modern cinema and earned him a devoted following among audiences and actors alike. For years, Uma Thurman was more than just one of his leading ladies. She was his muse. Their creative chemistry was electric. In Pulp Fiction, she became the unforgettable Mia Wallace, dancing across the screen with a mix of mystery and danger. In Kill Bill, she embodied the bride, a vengeance-driven warrior whose journey became one of Tarantino's most iconic creations. But behind the stylish camera work and critical acclaim, their professional partnership would face a devastating fracture, one that began in April 2002 during the filming of Kill Bill. Thurman, then 6 weeks pregnant, was scheduled to shoot a scene involving her character driving a vintage convertible down a winding gravel road. The vehicle, a prop car, looked cinematic but was mechanically unreliable. Its brakes were questionable, the steering shaky, and the road surface slippery. Thurman voiced her unease directly to Tarantino, telling him in no uncertain terms that the car did not feel safe. "It's not safe. The brakes don't work. It shakes," she warned. Her request was simple. Bring in a stunt driver to handle the scene. Tarantino, known for pushing his actors to perform their own stunts for authenticity, refused. He argued that it was a straightforward shot, just a few seconds of footage that would enhance the realism of the scene. According to Thurman, he became impatient and insistent, pressing her to drive the car herself, under mounting pressure, and perhaps trusting that her director would not knowingly endanger her. She reluctantly agreed. The decision would have catastrophic consequences. As the cameras rolled, Thurman navigated the winding path, but the car quickly became unstable. Moments later, she lost control and crashed head-on into a tree. The impact was violent. Thurman blacked out, her knees bloodied and scraped, her arms limp at her sides. The collision left her with serious injuries, including lasting damage to her spine and persistent pain in her neck and knees. For 2 agonizing weeks, her pregnancy hung in the balance. Perhaps even more shocking than the crash itself was what happened immediately afterward. According to Thurman, no one rushed to her side. The crew had been ordered to keep rolling and not cut the camera, an instruction she claimed came directly from Tarantino in the moments before the stunt. Whether out of artistic obsession, tunnel vision, or the relentless drive to get the shot, the production prioritized the footage over her well-being in those crucial moments. For years, Thurman stayed silent about the incident, Part of her silence, she later explained, came from a belief that Tarantino's lack of support at the time was tied to protecting Harvey Weinstein, the powerful Miramax producer behind Kill Bill. Weinstein, later exposed as a serial sexual predator during the Oscar Me Too movement, had the influence to make or break careers, and speaking out against him, or anyone perceived to be defending him, carried enormous professional risk. It wasn't until 2018, in the midst of the Me Too reckoning, that Thurman finally told the full story in a New York Times interview. Her account shocked the public, sparking debates about on-set safety, the pressure actors face to comply with dangerous directions, and the blurred lines between artistic ambition and reckless endangerment. The backlash put Tarantino under intense scrutiny. In a rare display of public contrition, Tarantino addressed the incident in an interview with Deadline. He admitted he had insisted Thurman drive the car herself and called it the biggest regret of my career. He described the crash as heartbreaking and acknowledged that he had pushed too hard, failing to listen to her valid concerns. Years after the accident, Tarantino took a step toward repairing their fractured friendship. He personally gave Thurman the footage of the crash, the very material she had requested for over 15 years and had been told was lost due to supposed technical issues. While this gesture did not erase the trauma or the sense of betrayal, Thurman acknowledged it as a form of closure. The two have since had what she called healing conversations, and though they may never return to the closeness they once shared, they are no longer estranged. Today, their story stands as a stark reminder that behind Hollywood's glamour and genius lies a world where power dynamics, artistic ambition, and personal trust can collide, with consequences that last far beyond the final cut. Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke split. Ethan Hawke, celebrated for his critically acclaimed roles in Training Day, Before Sunrise, and other cinematic milestones, was once one half of what many considered a storybook Hollywood romance. In the late 1990s, his relationship with Uma Thurman seemed to embody a rare blend of artistry, beauty, and shared purpose. She was the enigmatic, magnetic star of Pulp Fiction and Gattaca. He was the introspective, soulful actor whose charm carried both depth and edge. They met in a world where fame often devours intimacy. Yet for a time, it seemed they had found a way to nurture both. The couple married in 1998, and a year later, they welcomed their daughter, Maya Hawke, into the world. Soon after, their son, Levon, followed. From the outside, their lives appeared blissfully intertwined, two actors balancing Hollywood careers with the responsibilities of raising a family. Uma slowed her professional pace to prioritize motherhood, while Ethan continued to pursue roles, write novels, and even direct. Friends and fans alike admired their apparent ability to maintain both creative vitality and domestic stability. But beneath that polished exterior, cracks had begun to form. The real fracture came in 2003, when Uma discovered a truth that would irreversibly change the trajectory of their marriage. While caring for their children at home, she came across messages on Ethan's phone, messages that made it clear he had been romantically involved with the family's young nanny, a woman barely out of her teens. The revelation cut deeper than a simple act of infidelity. It was a violation not only of marital trust, but of the intimate, safe environment they had promised to create for their children. Publicly, Uma said little at the time. Privately, however, she was devastated. The betrayal felt doubly cruel because it unfolded during a period when she had sacrificed career opportunities to be present for their family. Hawke's decision to take the nanny along to professional events, including a film festival in Toronto, without informing Uma, underscored just how far their lives had drifted apart. The emotional wound turned public when, less than a year after their separation, Hawke appeared at the 2004 Academy Awards with his new girlfriend on his arm. The moment was striking, not only because of its timing, but because his date wore a gown uncannily reminiscent of Uma's own wedding dress, long, elegant, and unmistakably similar in style. Whether intentional or coincidental, the visual parallel felt to many like a deliberate echo of the life they had just dismantled. Cameras captured every flash of the red carpet. And for Uma, the sting of private heartbreak now came with the added weight of public spectacle. Yet in the face of humiliation, Uma chose dignity over drama. She did not issue scathing public statements, nor did she wage a media war against her former husband. Instead, she quietly filed for divorce, prioritized the well-being of her children, and maintained her focus on co-parenting. In interviews, she acknowledged the pain without indulging in bitterness. She once told Oprah Winfrey that sharing 2 children with someone is no small thing, and that the inability to even communicate afterwards was its own kind of heartbreak. Her restraint was not weakness. In fact, it was a display of quiet strength. While tabloids might have preferred a messy feud, Uma's grace sent a different, more powerful message: that dignity can be louder than vengeance, and that resilience is built in the moments when one chooses not to retaliate. Over time, the animosity between them cooled, replaced by a functional civility. They appeared together at events to support their daughter, Maya, as she began to carve out her own career in acting and music, proving that their shared commitment to their children could outlast even the most painful betrayal. Today, the chapter of their marriage is closed, but the way Uma Thurman carried herself through its unraveling remains a testament to her character. She emerged not as a victim defined by betrayal, but as a woman who refused to let another's actions dictate her identity. In Hollywood, where scandal often overshadows substance, her story stands as a reminder that true power sometimes lies in silence, and that the most profound statement can be made by walking forward with your head held high. Uma Thurman versus Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, long before becoming a polarizing political figure, held significant influence in the entertainment industry as a film producer and executive. Known for his aggressive and often manipulative business tactics, he had the power to make or break careers with a single decision. Uma Thurman, already an established Hollywood star, never imagined that a single evening with Bannon would become a turning point that pushed her away from the industry she loved. It began innocently enough. Bannon invited Thurman to what was presented as a private dinner to discuss a potential high-profile film project. To Uma, it was a professional opportunity, a chance to explore a script that promised both artistic depth and box office appeal. But as the evening unfolded, the tone shifted. The business dinner gradually morphed into something far more personal and uncomfortable. Bannon, according to Thurman's account to close friends, began making suggestive remarks and implying that her involvement in the film could be secured through a more intimate arrangement. Uma refused, making it clear she was there for work, not personal favors. The atmosphere turned cold, and she left the dinner feeling both insulted and unsettled. 3 days later, the consequences became brutally clear. Her role in the film was abruptly reassigned to another actress. Not only was she removed from the cast, but her name was also erased from all promotional materials and early marketing efforts she had already contributed to. No explanation was given publicly, and Bannon remained silent, hiding behind the opaque decisions of creative changes. Uma's experience highlighted Hollywood's toxic environment, leading her to withdraw for nearly 3 years, prioritizing family over a system diminishing women's careers. Uma Thurman versus Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein was once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, a man whose production empire could launch or sink a career overnight. For Uma Thurman, he was initially a crucial ally, the influential producer who backed her biggest projects and seemed to believe in her talent. But beneath the glamour and industry prestige, there was a dark undercurrent of abuse, one that would ultimately destroy their relationship and leave scars that lasted for years. Their professional partnership began in the 1990s, when Weinstein's company was producing films that defined an era. Thurman, fresh off the success of Pulp Fiction, became one of his most bankable stars, yet behind closed doors. Weinstein allegedly exploited his position to sexually harass her. According to Thurman, his advances were persistent, calculated, and laced with the kind of intimidation only someone with near total control over a career could wield. The fear of professional ruin kept her silent and, in her words, paralyzed. That fear reached its breaking point during the filming of Kill Bill. While Kill Bill Vol. 1 was a triumph, the thought of working on Vol. 2 with Weinstein still looming behind the scenes was almost unbearable for Thurman. She later revealed that she considered walking away entirely, unwilling to endure his presence. But the project, the crew, and her dedication to the role ultimately kept her in. Thurman's Me Too statement accused Weinstein of violating her boundaries and trust, condemning Hollywood's power dynamics that enabled exploitation. Her courage highlighted systemic abuse and solidarity with other silenced women. Uma Thurman ends with Travolta. John Travolta, celebrated for his magnetic charm on and off screen, has long been a Hollywood icon, admired by peers and audiences alike. However, behind the public smiles and red carpet appearances, not every professional or personal connection he fostered ended on good terms. For Uma Thurman, what began as genuine admiration for the actor's talent and charisma gradually turned into a painful and suffocating experience that would ultimately sever their relationship completely. Their acquaintance began in a warm, collaborative atmosphere. Uma, at the time, respected Travolta's veteran status and viewed him as a mentor figure. However, this initial respect slowly eroded as subtle signs of control began to emerge. What first appeared as casual suggestions about her image turned into persistent demands. Travolta reportedly insisted she change her clothing style to match his idea of how she should appear in public. Even more troubling was his tendency to interfere in her career choices, going as far as to approve or reject scripts she considered. The tipping point came in a private moment that would permanently shift Uma's perception. According to those close to her, a French director had sent Uma a bouquet of flowers to congratulate her on an upcoming project. Instead of sharing her excitement, Travolta allegedly grabbed the bouquet, tore it apart, and coldly told her, "I need you to belong to me." That moment crystallized the underlying possessiveness she had been enduring. For Uma, the statement was not only a breach of respect, but also a blatant declaration of control over her personal and professional life. It was the final push she needed to step away. She left the relationship immediately, cutting all contact thereafter. The rupture was definitive. No public reconciliation has ever taken place, and neither star has since spoken fondly of the other. In the end, the connection that started with admiration and creative respect devolved into a cautionary tale about boundaries, autonomy, and the cost of allowing possessiveness to masquerade as care. Uma Thurman's lasting film legacy. Following the tumultuous chapter involving John Travolta, Uma Thurman emerged stronger, determined to define her own identity beyond any controlling influence. Her legacy is multifaceted, rooted not only in her memorable performances, but also in her fearless choice of roles that challenge stereotypes for women in cinema. From her iconic turn as Mia Wallace in Pulp Fiction to the vengeful, resilient The Bride in Kill Bill, Thurman became a symbol of empowerment, proving that female characters could be complex, flawed, and commanding on screen. Beyond acting, she has been an advocate for gender equality in Hollywood, openly addressing issues of exploitation and harassment long before it became a widespread movement. Her courage in speaking out, combined with her versatility as an actress, has inspired a new generation of performers. Today, Uma Thurman's body of work continues to influence filmmakers and audiences alike, leaving behind a legacy of artistic bravery and uncompromising authenticity. Uma Thurman's SelfWorth Lesson. After exploring Uma Thurman's enduring legacy, one lesson stands out: the importance of valuing oneself enough to walk away from situations that compromise personal dignity. Her story with John Travolta, which began with admiration but turned into control and possessiveness, reminds us that even in the glittering world of Hollywood, boundaries are essential. Uma's courage to leave, despite the professional and personal ties, shows that protecting one's self-respect is more important than any career advantage. It's a testament to the fact that true empowerment comes from knowing when to say enough